Hey, welcome to the channel. I got a request to make some more serving trays for people, and I had some spare wood lying around, as you can see, so I decided why not. So let's get going. For all the pieces I had lying around, I first had to flatten it, as with every project. So here I am busy flattening each face, and after that I will then square the edges with each other and then finish with the last side of each plank before it's time for glue up. Where it's possible, I basically try to put two boards that I'm going to glue up together and then square the edges or just plane over them so that they have a very nice fit to each other. After that is done and all the boards have been marked out, it's time to glue them together as is shown here. So each side will get its own glue strip while I flatten it out, and yes, after that I will then join them together and then tighten the clamps. I found that hammering the pieces when they're just tightly put together helps flattening out the boards at the end of the day, so it makes it easier to do the end planing. Here are some of the other boards I'm also gluing together while I'm waiting for the other ones to dry, and each one will be flattened after it's been glued together for a while. As I said in previous videos, I sometimes like to use my Japanese plane, as it gives me sometimes a different feel than using the traditional Western planes. After making sure each side is 100% flat, I use my number 4 plane just to make sure everything is nice and smooth and all the plane lines have been eliminated. After that, just to make sure each of the edges are now squared with the board. Finally, it's time to put a chamfer on the underside of each board. This will make it easier when you want to grip the board and carry it with your fingers and hands. After that's been done, it's time to put in some edge decorations on the top of the board, just to make it a little bit more interesting, since the whole thing is just one flat piece at this stage. For each board, I will try to vary the patterns that I'm using, so to make each one a little bit more unique than the other one. Finally, it's time to shape the legs for each of the boards. Once again, I'm making a small chamfer in each of the legs so that the balance will be much easier to obtain at the end of the day. To add a little bit more strength, for each leg I drill a hole and then use a peg just to make sure any bumps or bruises won't let the legs fly off. With the board now practically finished, all that's left to do is add some oil to the board so it doesn't dry out and starts warping or cracking at the end of the day. Of course, the person that will use the board in the future will also have to apply some oil at one stage, now and again, just to ensure that the board won't crack or distort. Here are the main boards ready. As you can see, some of them have quite different patterns and colors, some have handles on them, but at the end of the day each one I think came out quite nicely and can be used appropriately by whoever's going to buy it. I also made these ones out of single key art pieces. They might not be as extravagant as the other ones, but the grain pattern I think makes more than up enough for that fact, and it keeps the design also a little bit more simplistic. And finally, these ones are also made with some handles, as well as sawing out or trying to sawing out with the grain patterns to make them look a bit more interesting than the other ones. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheers!